Namaskara, my dear friends. Recently, I saw a movie on emergency. So, I thought I could share my own personal experience and also the first-hand knowledge I have about emergency in 1975 when I was a 15-year-old boy. Whatever information I am going to share with you is just 0.001% of the excesses that happen during emergency. So during emergency, the first thing we should know is that 5 opposition leaders who later became prime ministers were arrested. They were Morarji Desai, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Chaudhry Charan Singh, Chandrasekhar and Devegowda. And even this 6th person who would become a prime minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, would also have been arrested if, like all pracharaks, he had also went underground in a disguised manner. Not only that, my dear friends, even present Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin was also arrested during emergency in Chennai and tortured for about 3-4 months. And one famous film actress had said about emergency that Bombay actors were like taxis and they had to go to Delhi at the beck and call of some leaders. Anyway, whatever it may mean. Friends, emergency is not just about freedom of expression. Emergency is not just about suspension of civil liberties. Emergency is not just about press censorship. Emergency is about arrest, abduction, murder, rape and torture, and in addition to that, forcible sterilization or family planning operation of lakhs of people, young people who may be married or not married, both men and women. First, let me explain photo that shook the Indira regime. In Tumkur, more than 50 people were arrested under DIR and MISA because they protested against emergency. So what they would do is, after their arrest, they would take them to the Tumkur jail, and subsequently, depending upon how important the leader is, they would transfer them under MISA to Bangalore Central Jail. So during such arrest, a group of people consisting of educated youth, lawyers and doctors, they were housed in Tumkur jail. The food that was given to them was so horrible that every grain of rice had 2 worms and 2-3 grains of sand. I have seen it myself. So protesting this, these detainees in Tumkur jail, they fasted. So the Tumkur judge, magistrate court judge, ordered the police to produce these detainees into the court. Again, when they were producing them in the court, they were brought in a police van, handcuffed like criminals. So when they were got down from the van near the court, in a pre-planned manner, all the detainees, what they did was they lifted the handcuffed hands, and a smart guy, I think his name was Devu, he took a photograph and ran away, escaped. Nobody knew that a photograph was taken. Friends, those days it was only black and white photo, and the photo negative had to be developed, then washed, and finally the positive has to come. It would take few days before it was printed. So this photo, which shook India, finally landed in USA, I don't know how, and it was printed in leading newspaper of USA. So that was shocked Indira Gandhi, and that took about 2-3 months before they realized what had happened, and it had come from Tumkur. So Indira Gandhi ordered, how could it go from a small town like Tumkur to USA? Who was the photographer who took the photo? Then the torture began. So what the police did was, they tortured many RSS leaders, many photographers, totally innocent people, assuming that they had taken the photo and saw that it went to and landed in the USA. So basically in Karnataka, there were 2 types of torture. One is known as aeroplane and another is known as Hyderabad Goli. Let me explain to you what is aeroplane. Aeroplane means, for the victim, they would tie both of their hands behind and hang him up, tying from the top. Apart from that, they would put on weight of 4, 5, 6 kgs to his legs. So imagine the load on the shoulders this person would have, his own weight tied from the back and also weight of 4, 5 kgs. Then they would start beating him, and they would also see that any food or water is not given to him, so that he will extract some information from them. What was the main information they wanted to extract? They basically wanted to extract where are the RSS leaders who were not arrested and who are underground, where are they, what were they doing, what are the activities like. The second torture was known as Hyderabad Goli. Hyderabad Goli means they would take the victim, make him naked, open his hands and legs, tie him on a table, and what they would do is, they would take a police lathi, smear it with chili powder, and they would ram it into his rectum and rotate it inside. So what this would do is, this would totally damage and cause injuries inside the intestine, and it would take months for the victim even to walk. I do not want to explain further what all had happened. So people underwent these two tortures apart from many other torture in Karnataka. Friends, apart from the protests RSS 5 were doing, after 2 or 3 months of emergency, RSS was also distributing pamphlets after editing it and printing it across various sections of the society. So in Karnataka, there were two Kannada leaflets known as Kahale and Ranadundubi. So this was edited, printed and distributed by RSS 5. Apart from that, RSS 5 at nights would also paint on the walls as Down with Emergency, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, RSS Zindabad and other things. Now, when people were caught doing these activities like distributing the leaflets or painting on the walls, police would catch them and the torture was unbearable. As I have explained, aeroplane and Hyderabad Goli. Because the information what they wanted was where are the leaflets being printed, who is editing it, what are the instructions given and who is arranging all the RSS protests. So I will explain to you one such torture when my friend Rangabhatta, he was caught while painting on the wall and distributing leaflets Kahale and Ranadundubi. He was caught in the midnight one day while painting on the walls, and Rangabhatta was son of a priest and he himself was a priest, and he was hardly about 17-18 years. Apart from that, he was a dwarf. He was almost or less than 4 feet. He was caught by the police and police bet him black and blue, and they did all kinds of torture because they wanted to know how did he got the leaflets, who told him what to paint it on the walls, and who told him for whom to be distributed this Kahale and Ranadundubi. Friends, this 4 feet dwarf, when beaten by police, every beating he used to say Jai Shri Ram, then Jai Hanuman, and if the torture was unbearable, he was reciting Gayatri Mantra. So this priest Rangabhatta is no more there. He was a priest in Sri Rama temple at Kyarakshan Tumkur. Even now it is there. Friends, other than that, about 25 RSS people were arrested under Misa in Bangalore Central Jail, and many of them are no more. About 2-3 people from Tumkur are still alive. One such person was almost a semi-literate or almost an illiterate Narsimhaya, who is known as Cycle Shop Narsimhaya, who was doing pancher work, and for the call of the nation, he protested and went to Misa in Bangalore and spent his time along with Advaniji, Madhu Dandavate and others. The second person was there who was running a printing press was Sogudu Shivanna. He was also not great educated, but for the call of the nation, he also protested and went to Tumkur jail, and even today he is serving the cause of nation and serving the cause of Hindus. Let me come back to these RSS literatures, Kahale and Ranadundubi, which were distributed. To whom were they distributed? They were distributed not only among RSS people, because for among RSS people it was distributed from hand to hand, but it was distributed to all MPs and MLAs, opinion makers, sahitis, writers, poets, and also top businessmen. Because in this literature, the excesses of emergency that was happening throughout the country was printed, and we wanted them to know what is all happening, because there was total press censorship. Now in Bangalore, let me give you an example how it was distributed. See, those days there was no photostat available, and also there was no courier service available. So still RSS 5 were designated to do particular job of transferring RSS leaders like Hove Sheshadri, Chandrasekhar Bhandari, Prahalad Jaliyal, Gurudat Kodwa, Su Ramana and others from place to place, house to house, and also arrange the anti-emergency protest and also distribution of these pamphlets. The most dangerous was distribution of these pamphlets because police used to torture them when they get caught. So those days the distribution could happen only through normal post. Suppose, let me say that per day about 1000 leaflets were to be distributed, they had to be posted. But you can't put 1000 in a single post box because they used to catch. So what they used to do is they would prepare 1000 and put them in a cover, and not more than 5 leaflets per post box were being posted by one RSS 5. Totally when 1000 letters had to be posted, about 200 post box have to be attended, and secretly these letters had to be posted. So there were engineers, lawyers, doctors. Today they are all, some are famous doctors and engineers who were doing this job, discontinuing their study. This is the patriotism and sacrifice that RSS inculcates in the various people, and even during emergency. Let me give examples of two RSS pracharaks among thousands of RSS pracharaks who sacrificed and lakhs of RSS Swayamsevaks who fought against emergency. One was Sheshu, late Sheshu, he is no more, Swargya Sheshu. While doing these activities, he was also caught and he was also tortured in Bangalore. I think somewhere in Sheshadripuram police station and then somewhere away in Hesarghatta police station, he was tortured. He was beaten and he was not given any food or water and he refused to eat. In spite of beating, Sheshu said, who was RSS Pracharak, I have dedicated my life for this country and I have become a RSS Pracharak. Even if you cut me into two pieces, not a word of information will go from me like where are the RSS leaders or where Kahale and Ranadundabi is printed. Even the police were surprised by his patriotism, and finally the SP at that time, he took him to his house during emergency and gave him food after maybe 1 day or 2 days, I don't remember. The other person was hardly 20-year-old Dinesh Kamath. Dinesh Kamath was also doing these activities. He was also caught and subsequently he landed up in Bangalore Central Jail under DIR. He was slapped and other things, not much of torture. But he was also under DIR, people had to be produced to the court. Under MISA, there was no court, no FIR, nothing. So when he was produced in the court, second or third time, the judge asked, how can this young boy of 19 or 20, but he looked like 15 or 16, do any anti-emergency activities? Let us release him. So they released him. So what the police did was, this boy had come from a village near Mangalore. So the police escorted him from Bangalore to Mangalore and left him to his house and warned his parents, please don't allow him outside, otherwise he will again be arrested. But the call of nation was very much there for Dinesh Kamath. So after 3-4 days, he told his parents, I have some work, I will continue my studies in Mangalore, I will come back in 5 days, and he left his house. Friends, he said after 5 days I will come back, and it is now 50 years as on today. He never went home. He has dedicated his service for the nation, for RSS, serving for Sanskrit, education and various other RSS activities. So what I am explaining is, it is not in RSS culture to name and praise people, but I thought among thousands of people, I thought that people should know the sacrifices of RSS where during emergency, taking all the risk, all the pains and all the torture. As Devegowda once said, if there was no RSS, perhaps emergency would never have been lifted and we would never had democracy in this country. Now let me explain the torture near Malnad area. Malnad is a cold area in Karnataka. Like all dictators, Indira Gandhi was also petrified that somebody would assassinate her, and she was mainly afraid of George Fernandez and other socialists, because she thought that socialists were connected to Naxals and they were in bomb making and killing and assassinating her. So during those days in Malnad, Hassan and Chikmagalur area of Karnataka, Naxal activities was slightly more. All instructions would come from Delhi. What police did was, they arrested 10 to 12 young innocent RSS people. They took them to a old building within a forest area. They locked them in a 10 feet by 10 feet room and they bet them black and blue. What were the questions they were asking? Where is this Kahale and Ranadundabi printed? Where are the RSS leaders? And what do you know about whereabouts of George Fernandez and socialist activities? Many of these poor people had not even heard of who is George Fernandez or anything about socialists. And definitely they did not know where RSS leaders who were underground were. So they could not tell anything. So the police, what they did was, they closed all the windows of 10 feet by 10 feet room, locked it from outside and they went off. There was no bathroom, no toilet, no water, no food. Not only that, all were made naked. Malnad area will be very, very cold during night. So during night, there was unbearable cold. So to tolerate that cold, 3 people used to sleep one above the other so that the middle person would get warmth and they would change the terms once in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This was the torture. It did not end there. What happened was, after 5-6 hours, people developed severe bacterial infection, which led to very severe dysentery for about 3-4 people. Imagine, my dear friends, 3-4 people having severe loose motions because of bacterial infection inside a 10 feet by 10 feet room where 10 to 12 people were there. There was no water, no toilet, no ventilation. Imagine their plight. This was the Kala Pani of Karnataka which Indira Gandhi gave to us. Anyway, after 2 days without food and water, police came. They knew that they were all innocent people. They opened the door and left them. Now, let me explain to you about 2 tortures that happened in Bangalore Central Jail. Bangalore Central Jail hosted about 800 to 1000 DIR detainees and also MISA detainees. 90% of them were RSS Swayamsevaks. And there were leaders like Atalji, Advaniji, Madhu Dandavate, Deve Gowda, many others. So here let me explain to you about 2 tortures, not of RSS people. As I said, Indira Gandhi was very petrified about socialists and also George Fernandez. So she got arrested George Fernandez's brother Lawrence Fernandez and brought them to Central Jail and tortured. He was tortured for weeks and months by breaking his limbs, breaking his hips and beaten almost to death. Madhu Dandavate, who was also a socialist and also in Bangalore Central Jail, came to know about his torture because Lawrence Fernandez could not even walk. Then he wrote a letter to Indira Gandhi that this person, brother of George Fernandez, is going to die. But after many days of torture, Lawrence Fernandez did not open a word about George Fernandez and he was almost in deathbed. So the Bangalore police had to release him for some time and again re-arrest him. Something all happened. But friends, Lawrence Fernandez did not die, luckily, but in his life he could never walk straight again. Let me explain the torture for Snehalata Reddy. Snehalata Reddy was a film actress, Kannada film actress, also associated with some socialist activities. She was also arrested to know the details of socialists and George Fernandez, and she was tortured for months. And remember, when a lady, single lady being tortured every day, midnight, the torture used to start around 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. and would go on for 3 to 4 hours. Please recall Aeroplane and Hyderabad Goli. What all they could have done to a young lady and what are all the torture she would have undergone. So after severe torture, she had her internal organs damaged and she was about to die. Then the doctor said she is going to die within few days. So they released her in January 1977 and within few days Snehalata Reddy died and she is the first lady emergency martyr from Karnataka. Friends, it is not only that. One bright engineering student from NIT Calicut, Rajan, he protested against emergency. Protested in the sense he was just saying down with emergency. He was taken to police station, he was beaten and he was beaten to death and his body was disposed of. So finally it became a big issue and one day the Chief Minister of Kerala, Karunakaran, had to resign because of this torture. So as I said, I repeat, what I am telling you is 0.001% of the excesses and torture and killings of emergency. And if you go across India, there are many thousands of such excesses that happen during emergency. Let me give you a background of Srimati Indira Gandhi and also background of emergency. Indira Gandhi was made Congress president somewhere in 1959 just because she was daughter of Nehru, by Nehru himself, overseeing the seniority of great stalwarts like Kamraj, Morarji Desai, Jagjivan Ram and our own states Nijalingappa and many others. So she started exercising extrajudicial authorities because her father was a prime minister and as a president of Congress she was instrumental in dismissing the first democratically elected communist government in Kerala somewhere in 1960. Also as secretary of Nehru, Indira Gandhi was used to extra constitutional powers and she would also associate with him in foreign trips and also influence him in various decisions making that government of India took. So Indira Gandhi at an young age, she was given extrajudicial powers by Democrat Nehru. Now let us come to 1971. After the Indo-Pak war, India won against Pakistan and liberated Bangladesh. Indira Gandhi became very popular and she won the 1971 elections with massive mandate. Then she thought that nobody can stop and her dictatorial attitudes came to the fore in the next few years. She gave unprecedented extrajudicial powers to her son, errand son, Sanjay Gandhi, who was not a MLA, not a MP, nothing. So it is said that MLAs, MPs and minister used to stand in front of him, wait for hours to take any decision, whether it is government decision or party decision or any other decision. Not only extrajudicial powers given to her son Sanjay Gandhi, economics of Indira Gandhi was very bad. Due to her leftist Russian model economies, there was severe unemployment, heavy job loss and also very high inflation. Not only that, there was shortages of everything. Today's people, youngsters, do not know what were the shortages. There was shortages of food. There was shortages of sugar. If we have to get sugar, we have to wait for days in front of ration shop. If we have to book a gas, it would take 2 years to get our cooking gas. It would take years to get a telephone. It would take 5 years to 10 years to get a Vespa scooters. Not only that, to get any commodity from tape recorder to cassette to anything electronic item, there was even calculators was not available. This was the model of Indira Gandhi. And above all that, Indira Gandhi wanted power, and so she encouraged corruption. So Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister who institutionalized corruption. So everywhere in India, the corruption became rampant and it was almost like legal. Anyway, today's corruption is much higher level. So this was seen by Gandhian freedom fighter Bharat Ratna Jayaprakash Narayan, who was not into public life. So he jumped into public life and he declared Sampurna Kranti, or total revolution against policies of Indira Gandhi, both about Sanjay Gandhi as well as about the corruption and unemployment that was happening in the country. This total revolution of Jayaprakash Narayan got unprecedented support across the country. All opposition united and supported Jayaprakash Narayan. This actually shook Indira Gandhi in the years of 74 and 75. But as a climax, what happened during June 1975, Allahabad High Court disqualified Indira Gandhi as a member of parliament because of electoral malpractices. So this was only a climax. So taking this as a reason, Indira Gandhi declared emergency on 25th June 1975. So the real reason for emergency being declared by Indira Gandhi was the revolt of entire India against her policies and extrajudicial powers given to her son Sanjay Gandhi. Not only this, Indira Gandhi during emergency, with all the opposition leaders in jail, she amended the constitution. She amended the preamble by adding the word secular and socialist, and also she changed the Lok Sabha elections from 5 years to 6 years. But in spite of that, Indira Gandhi Chelas, Indira Gandhi Koteri, and also IB, Intelligence Bureau of India, gave her information that in 1977, if you are going to declare elections and conduct elections, you are going to have massive mandate and win and become Prime Minister for another 6 years. So Indira Gandhi was misled with this false positive image and she declared elections. So what happened? Luckily, whole of India stood against Indira Gandhi and Indira Gandhi was defeated in 1977 elections. This was the second independence of India, 1977 elections. But unfortunately, due to infighting of Janata Party, Indira Gandhi came back to power in 1980. Now let us see, did Indira Gandhi really repent emergency excesses and other powers she had given to Sanjay Gandhi? The answer is no. I will give you 3 or 4 examples for that. Number 1, during 77 and 80 when Indira Gandhi was in opposition, she encouraged her son Sanjay Gandhi, Jail Singh and other Congress leaders to support separatists and terrorists Bhindranwale in Punjab so that Akalis can be weakened. Akalis were anti-Congress, number 1. Number 2, even in 1980, Indira Gandhi never distanced herself from Sanjay Gandhi. She gave him seat in Amethi and Sanjay Gandhi won back in Amethi and he came back to the power without any constitutional position. However, within few months after 1980 election, Sanjay Gandhi died in a tragic accident. Point 3, when Indira Gandhi became Prime Minister again in 1980, she withdrew all the cases against 2 hijackers, Pandey brothers, who had hijacked a plane from Punjab in support of Indira Gandhi in somewhere during when Indira Gandhi was in opposition. Not only she withdrew all the criminal cases, she also made them MLAs and perhaps even ministers. This was the democracy and respect for constitution Indira Gandhi had even in 1980, my dear friends. In most of the countries, if people hijack, death sentence is the penalty, and I think even in India, life sentence is the penalty for people who hijack a plane. Number 4, after the tragic death of Sanjay Gandhi, few months after 1980 elections when she became, as a dictator, she could not believe anybody and she wanted somebody from her family to come to politics and support her. So she bought a very decent person who was not involved in politics, her elder son Rajiv Gandhi, forcibly to politics and made him, I think, General Secretary of Congress. And not only that, moment he came, she gave him the responsibility of running the Commonwealth Games. Who was Rajiv Gandhi? He was only a pilot, had no experience in politics or social service or any other thing. All dictators, they want somebody from their family to be with her because they don't believe any of their party men or their colleagues. So, Indira Gandhi never came out of dynastic politics, which her father had inculcated in her during 1959 itself by making her President of Congress. Friends, finally, let us respect Indira Gandhi as our Prime Minister. Let us respect all Prime Ministers. Let us also give credit for Indira Gandhi for having won the war in 1971 against Pakistan. But let us not condone Indira Gandhi. Let us not forget Indira Gandhi about the excesses during emergency, before emergency and after emergency, extra constitutional decisions she took during her regime by dismissing various governments, including DMK governments and many other governments, by amending constitution many number of times, arresting leaders and all other rapes, murders and all, as I have explained. Let us not condone her and let us not be proud of her as she is my mother-in-law or she is my grandmother. That is not acceptable, my dear friends. And finally, my dear friends, Atalji never called Indira Gandhi Durga. Atalji himself in Aaj Ki Adalat with Rajat Sharma has told hardly about 15-20 years back that he has never called Durga. It was a wrong information spread by Indira Gandhi's friend Praful Jaikar so that there will be credibility if Vajpayee calls her Durga.
इंदिरा गांधी को आपने दुर्गा कहा था?
मैंने दुर्गा नहीं कहा, ये भी अखबार वालों ने छाप दिया और मैं खंडन करता रह गया कि मैंने नहीं कहा नहीं आपने कहा है.
Anyway, friends, let us not close our eyes to excesses of emergency and bad economic and extra constitutional decisions Indira Gandhi took by dismissing governments, amending constitutions many times. Let us not be proud of her as our grandmother or mother-in-law or whatever. As a Prime Minister, let us respect her. That is all. Bharat Mata ki Jai, Vande Mataram.